they will actually go through a water gate. So the water gate actually are made by the two ambulance. So the firefighting trucks will make the water gate. So after the successfully back for the landings, the flight will go through that water gate. And here we can see this is the venue for the runway for our FTC 2000G. So talking about our FTC 2000G, as I introduced many times, this is our home-developed manufactured flight, and it was manufactured in Guizhou, Anshun. And talking about the company behind is the GAIC. That's a very long history industry corporation that also produce a lot of very famous flights like Shanyin coaching flight. So the AGI is actually also under the Aviation Industry Corporation of China, which is short as AICC. We talk about the coaching flight. Actually, the pilots during their learnings or trainings, they use a lot of this coaching flight. And so Shanyin was quite one of the a very popular flight we use for coaching and training. So for Shanyin, we also have other flights that's made or modified on top of Shanyin. There is also another is FTC-2000. That's a flight for trade or export purpose. So today we also have a FTC-2000. And our main actor today is this yellow with some green one. I believe the look not finished yet, so it's not delivered to the customer yet. So they just finished the assembly part. So which means that's the end of the whole manufacturing process. But talking about the functions, the flying functions, performance, anything, all these actually will be tested during the first debut flight. So for the first debut, there are a lot of to-do lists need to be checked. So according to the chief designer and we know like for the flight need to be a half a year to finish all the testing part. And then we'll enter into the operation. We'll enter into the service part. Then for the service part, we'll basically give the makeup. So we talk about the paintings for the look. So right now the look is not finished yet. So we talk about either for the any like theaters or for the armed force will have its number and its dedicated color. So talk about the FTC 2000G. Right now you are looking at this one, the yellow with green one. And you can see there are two pilots. They sit in the vertical line. And this is multifunctional flight. So besides they can do training and coaching and also can be a fight or combat flight. So for training purpose, the coach and the students will sit in the flight at the same time and they can learn or do some tactical training. So the coach can stand or sit next to the students to give them the timely feedback. We talk about whether this is a higher level coaching flight. Yes, it is. Talking about our pilots for today's first debut. So when they're learning how to drive a flight, so we will first give them a lower level coaching flights. So we'll talk about the entry level flights. So they will receive their test. After they pass their first test, they can use the higher level coaching flight. So like Shanyin flight, FTC-2000G, that's the higher level coaching flight, which also considered as the third generation or even fourth generation of flights. So talk about why it can be used like this way is during the design phase. Part of the equipment actually not use the generation 3 standards. So we'll talk about the pilots. If they right now can use this kind of flights, then they will be really quickly get used to all the generation 3 or even generation 4 flights. So look at the pilots sit at the second seat with the white helmet. He is the debut pilot. So will be the main pilot for today. And we also have a lot of supporting staffs on the ground. They are doing the last minute check. So we first make sure everything operates normally. Talk about today's weather. It's very favorable for the first debut flight. So look at today's weather. The visibility is quite high. I believe that can reach 10 kilometers. Look at the clouds. Not quite thick clouds. Very early this morning, we'll also talk to the authorities immediately. They also gave us the focus. Say overall the conditions are very helping. So visibility is good. The clouds, everything is good. Perfect for today's debut. So for maiden flight, the weather is very important. We talk about if the visibility is poor, then during the whole operation and also give additional difficulties to the pilots. So through my introduction, we know a little bit of the background of our flight, our FTC-2000G, and I will also show you a video clip to show you more details about our home-developed flight. Talk about during the whole R&D design process, they also modify a lot of details. So we look at the wings. So for other flights, they may use a triangle shape, but for this one, the front part or the part close to the nose, that will be a different shape. So that's the more the a letter shape. And for the a letter part will be the original wing shape. So for the a whole wing shape, you can tell actually the 2 layers of wings, and that's in different shapes. So for the 2 layers of the wings that can create a slope of 45 degrees. So we talk about for the passenger flight with first taxiing and then takeoff. For fighters or for coaching flights compared to the passenger flights, because they have different designs, they have different functions and performance, which is of course. So we talk about for the faster takeoff. If we use this kind of wings that have a strong force for the flight to take off. And also you do not need to have a very long distance of track. So like before, maybe you need 100 meters, and right now just like 70 or even shorter distance, then the flights can take off. So, and also look at the tail part. I don't know, the viewers can tell the silver part are a little bit, the ventilation window. So for the other flights, their ventilation window is bigger. But for this one, we make it smaller. We modified it with a longer length, but also shorter its width. So make sure when it's during the flight, they have less abrasion force during the flight. Talk about our homemade FTC-2000G. Talk about we have less air abrasion forces. We modified 30 areas in order to achieve better performance. So you look at the covering. We also modified it. We talk it as the skin of the flight. So yesterday during my interview, I also pay a closer look at our flight. So we can tell the skin is so flight, so smooth. So which enable the flight have less air abrasion during flying. So which also make the flight can fly at a faster speed. Of course, higher performance. So that's a very, very brief introduction about our flight. And we'll also look at the lower part. So that's the undercarriage. So compared to other flight made by GIC, this one is lightweight. So the undercarriage will not give the additional burden in terms of weight to the flight. So this flight is very good to be used as a combat flight. And we also have the viewers very interested in the index about this flight. So we talk about the DA speed, flight speed, or the level flight speed. It's quite faster, and the largest flight is 2,400 kilometers, and the takeoff weight is 7,900, or let's say 8 tons. And the maximum weight 1,100 kg. We talk about the undercarriage because it's lighter weight, so we can tell, but the payload also will be much improved. So we talk about this also can be used as a combat flight, then that also can equipped with missiles. So the design capabilities come with the 7 missiles, and the maximum weight can reach 7 tons. So for our maiden flight today, there will be no missiles on board. But actually we leave the room for 7 missiles. So if you can look at our video clip, then you can tell they actually leave the room for 7 missiles. Because of all this design purpose. So it also improved a lot about the flight speed. So we talk about the key characteristics. The minimum speed will be very low. So we talk about why is minimum speed is be a good point to mention. We want just fast. But actually think about this. When we do the combat in the higher air level, we need fast speed. But when we do the mission, that's the connection between the air and ground. We need to see the target on the ground very clearly. We know exactly what's going on the ground. Where is the target? If the fly so fast, then you cannot really grasp a clear picture about the ground. So that is the purpose why we mentioned the minimum speed is so important, and this is also a special design for this flight. So we also want to give you a closer look, but right now I believe everything is ready for the maiden flight, so it's not allowed us to step further closer to the flight, so we're not allowed to enter into that area. So that's the requirement, and also for the safety of all the staffs. So I will try my best to give you a closer look. This is right now what I can offer you. So right now the ceremony is undergoing. We talk about today's maiden flight process. So before the maiden flight, we will ask for approval for maiden flight, and we will receive the order. And then the pilot will control the flight, enter to the track, to runway. We talk about the fighter or the coaching flight. So it's different from our passenger flights. They'll have a very, very big noise. It can create a very big sound. So this morning they also had a taxing. I can tell you it's so big sound. You cannot imagine how big it is, but I can tell you it's much, much louder than the passenger flight. So our viewers may also would like to know about the self-development. We own the patent. The China owns the patent because it's home developed, home research, developed and manufactured, especially for the key parts. So during our yesterday's interview, Mr. Hu, the chief designer, told us that this flight can consider as a baby, newborn baby of all the stuffs from the very beginning, from the sketch to the finally the big giant, the whole stuff, the look, the whole process, they witness the whole process. So for each milestone, each stage will be actually owned by China. Is there anything need to be modified, to change? The team can make it happen. All right, we can tell right now the ground staff is prepared to leave the flight, and the front cockpit already closed, and right now also contact with the later cockpit. And I can tell our viewers right now the engine started. Hope you can hear it. That's the sound of engine. Hope our viewers still can hear me. Otherwise, I will show you a video clip so the viewers can know more background of our whole flight. You can tell the tail part is right now adjusting. The front seat pilot wave his hand, which means ready to go. And the ground staff also with the thumbs up, which means everything ready. All right, right now our FTC-2000G is heading to the runway. Is testing to our direction. So from very early morning, actually, it's gathered. A lot of people here, and we talk about this airport. Actually, it's not only for the FTC-2000G, also the airport for the passenger flight. So we will also make sure that everything is in the safe manner. So right now, this turning, make a turn, and will be very soon to take off. All right, we can tell it's making the turn, and very soon our FTC-2000G will be ready to take off. So from my area, I still can hear the sound of the engine, and you can tell it's accelerating. So this is the FTC-2000G here for its maiden flight. So for the other type of flights, it's not planned for today. All right, it's testing. It's our homemade FTC-2000G. Takeoff. So you can tell from the DA nose wheel and then the landing gear wheels all take off. So right now it's already flying up to the air, and I believe very soon FTC-2000G will fly over the main stage. So after the flight took off, our first flight for 10 minutes. so that will along the planned air route. And during its flying, we'll also finish some system checking. And very soon, through our camera, you will see the FTC-2000G will fly over. So we'll fly over our rostrum. So during the time we're waiting the FTC-2000G, so let's talk more about our homemade FTC-2000G. So about this flight, as I just introduced, this is our home designed, developed, and manufacturing flight. It's also with multi-functions. So it can be a coaching flight. It also can be a fighter and a bomber, and also the attacker. So the viewer asked, this is a third generation flight. So we can tell we use the third generation technologies. So the performance actually hit the level of third generation. And we don't know whether you can tell. I believe I can hear the sound. And here we go. This is our FTC-2000G. Right now flying back. Right now it's flying over our key platform. Very small one. I don't know whether you can tell. That's a very moving, small moving black dot. That's our FTC-2000G. So during the combat, it's also with the function of making the flying and fighting during the nights. So you can do hit the target from the air to the ground. So we talk about the minimum speed and reach 180 kilometer. So for the flight, we talk about this is really a slow speed. So make the flight can see the target on the ground very clearly. We talk about when it work as a attacker, it can hit a target from a larger or wider range, and also can give a support to other flights. When it work as a fighters, it have a very good maneuverability. It can fight, can combat, can fare, and also can fly as a patrol flight. Oh, right, it's also flying back. I believe right now it's also make a movement from the right to the left, to the left to the right. I believe that's also waving the hands to all the viewers or the audience. So just now the fly over make the flight over the main platform and also wave the hands to the audience. For the flight, cannot really literally wave the hand, but we will shake or move the whole body from the left to the right and from the right to the left. So we can tell the two ambulance or the fire trucks are ready. So the fire trucks, why they are here is they will be prepared for the water gate. So it's fire trucks will be here for the water gate. So for the maiden flight, we talk about the undercarriage actually not folded. As is a requirement for the maiden flights. And also to make sure the safety. If anything happen or emergency happens, then the flight can very quickly make the landing, so that also the air protection of our pilots. So we also look at our flights because we talk about it's the two seats in a vertical line. So we also can change to one seat. So the later seat is removable. So also for that area also can work as a tank. So that also can give more the fuel to the flight, so the flight can fly longer, faster. So the flight right now is flying back, and I believe will very soon will fly over us. So we talk about what's the difference between this one and the C919. Fundamentally, this one is a fighter, a combat flight. Talk about our C919. It's more for a passenger flight or the goods flight. So the key purpose or the design purpose is so different, and the engines are all different. So FTC-2000G can fly so fast, much faster than C919. I believe this very soon will be landed because it's very, very close to the ground. Let's see whether it will be landed or not. All right, it's not. Just fly over us in a very low altitude. So can fly very close to us, and also we can see it very clearly, the whole look of our FTC-2000G. So back to our previous topic, what's the difference between this one and the C919. So C919 also are home developed big giant passenger flight. So we talk about the home developed, home designed, home manufacturing. So we talk about C919, it's a big passenger giant. So that would be for the passengers. So basically we transport people and goods. So like Airbus and Boeing is the same. And we also have a transport flight. So that would be really big one. So inside is big belly, and we also can bring the trucks and even larger vehicles inside. Another one, we talk about 3 pillars, and we have another pillar that's the AG600. That's good to use for the water and also for the air. So it's 3 big pillar. And for today, FTC-2000G, that's considered as a fighter, a combat flight. Talk about the design, the look, the engine, the function, the purpose, the performance. It's all different from the previous 3 pillar. So FTC-2000G actually can equip with missiles, but C919, of course, is not designed for that purpose. So the positioning and performance are all different. And let's see, where is our flight? And I can see some birds. So we also have an alarm as we need to keep the bird outside the area. So we need to repel the birds. All right. The flight is coming back to the end of the taking off runway. So in November this year, we'll also have the exhibition in Zhuhai. So FTC-2000G will also have the opportunity to be showed in Zhuhai in November. Okay, I can tell right now the flight is coming back. I believe very soon will be landed. All right, it's lowering its latitude. Very soon will be landed. All right, it's landed successfully. You can tell the wheels are all on the ground. Right now it's 11:05 a.m. Very smooth landing. So very soon we will see the FTC-2000G will go through the water gate. So this is our 2 fare trucks. They're here ready for the water gate. That's kind of a ceremony to celebrate the successful maiden flight. Let's look at our FTC-2000G. Right now it's taxiing toward our direction. So from the front, we can tell it's very slim. So its the whole shape is quite long and thin. So we talk about because of the whole shape, it also make the whole flight have higher airfield performance. All right, the water gate is ready. Now we will very soon see the celebration. Go through the water gate. So we have a quite big wind today. And I also have some fireworks to celebrate the successful maiden flight to our FTC-2000G. So beautiful. So a colorful smoke to welcome our FTC-2000G back. All right, we can see very soon the two pilots will zoom from the cockpit to the ground. Although we delayed our maiden flight time, but from the preparation, we're taking off and then flying over the platform twice, and also at the very low level flights, I believe that's a very successful one. So right now we welcome our FTC-2000G back. It's a very successful and spectacular debut. We are ready to wait and welcome our two pilots. So from our angle, we're a little bit far from the main platform, so maybe not really see the flight clearly. And I hope my colleagues can provide you better view. All right, I believe our pilots, two pilots right now heading to the key platform. talk about our maiden flight pilots. Compared to other pilots, I believe they have more work to do. So after the whole processing, after the whole manufacturing, assembly, all the flights need to go through the testing flight. So during the whole testing flight process, we need to know all the design, whether hit our designed purpose, whether everything is meet our standards, about all the index, about our maximum speed, minimum speed, and other index and performance. And of course, feathers are so different because we need to also test the combat capabilities. Very soon, like fly to the different altitude or the low altitude or even make turns. All these we need to test by our testing pilots. So for our testing pilots, they should own the top skills with a strong heart. I believe today we can tell the mission is completed. There are heroes. Just now we heard the A2 pilots already in front of the A platform, and they reported back to the officials and the guests about their first flight. So they talk about the mission was completed and all the functions are meet the desired standards and purpose. So I don't know whether we can see our flight clearly. The flight already with good makeup. That's our FTC-2000. So for FTC-2000, already put in service. Also export to other countries and also start his overseas journeys. So our FTC-2000G first debut, mission completed. So from the beginning of our live stream, we provide you a closer look about our homemade FTC-2000G and these characteristics, highlights, and also the whole flying mission is so beautiful. Everything just so smooth, and we can tell everything just so successful. And also say hi to all the audience, and we can tell during the whole process, we can tell the FTC-2000G has a very stable and good performance. So that's also coming to the end of our live stream. Thank you for tuning in with CGTN. We bring you the live stream from Guizhou Anshun about our maiden flight of FTC-2000G. This is our homemade manufacturing flight, and hope our viewers can stay with CGTN to get more news about the China's aviation industry cooperation and also other types of flights. We will bring all the flights together as the eagles. I hope the eagles can fly higher and better to fly in the higher level and also showcase China's muscles in aviation industry to other countries. And also for there are people's really close focus the China's aviation industry development. I believe this is something also can showcase China's capability in these areas. Thank you for watching.